In class, this is Dr. Peter Terzop, and I wanted to do a video so I can communicate fully some of the things that go on in the class. So, for example, I use a lot of videos in the course. I like to use videos for discussion posts so you know I'm actually looking at your work and know that I'm having a true discussion. And I really appreciate those who want to use videos back. But here's an expectation example. While I encourage you to do a video post, and I think it's an excellent way to communicate with others, I can't tell you how many times students have said, I like watching other videos of other students. It gives me an idea, gives me some insight, it makes me know they're real people and I'm having a real discussion. It's not required. But if you don't pay attention to like how I talk and communicate and all that, you may say, well, I didn't watch the video and I didn't read the expectations and I didn't read the welcome to the course thing. I didn't see that in the live lecture. I didn't listen to the unit overview videos. All these things are encouraged, but they're not required, right? So I also like to give a lot of video feedback. I think it's an excellent way for you to know that I am looking at your work and you see me talking about your work. I use your name, I talk about the assignment, I look at like what you've done compared to the rubric. Now, in order to do the best you can in the class, I set expectations. Watch the live lectures. Watch the unit overviews. Are there examples posted? Do you want to call? Do you want to email? Do you want me to look at your work? Expectations for me is that if you want extra help, I'm going to give it to you. Some students don't hear that though. They hear it, I don't have the ability to reach out to the resources at the school. I don't have the ability to work with Dr. Pete for whatever reason. But the expectation is you're going to get those things, right? That you're going to get the help that you want. In other words, if you say, I need you to look at this assignment, I just recently had a student 3 times I've looked at an assignment. Is that a lot? Yes, it is. Each time it gets better and better and shorter review, right? But it's still a lot of work. But that's what that student needs and that's what that student wants. So I make every effort to do it, right? So those are some expectations. For example, too, when I do a video, say with, setting out, what do you want to call it, expectations or things that I do in class or feedback, I can't have a checklist. Like I can't sit there and say, well, this is X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's some more things, and you can do this, that, whatever, and I list off everything. I have a video on checklist students. The main thing here is if you have a question, ask. If you say, well, I don't understand this expectation or I don't understand this requirement, then ask. But here's an example. I give video feedback and I might say, hey, while I'm in here, I'm going to talk about all sorts of things that the average person can't because they're typing feedback. I can say a lot more quicker than they can type. So for example, I may say, hey, look at your cover page. Oftentimes you'll hear me say, I don't grade this, it's just nice to do it, right? Having said that, you're going to hear me say a lot of things over and over because I want to clean up those things. And then you're going to hear me talk about the content and grammar and more rubric driven things. Feedback is to say, this is the whole picture, right? But let's look at what your grade is, okay? Sometimes people just don't really do a good job with APA and grammar, but they can still do really well on the assignment because the content and research and analysis is there, right? Some students are not so good, or say they're really good at grammar and spelling and APA, but they just don't have the content, research, and all that, and that happens. But you're going to hear me talk about these things in videos because I can do a video. I can talk about a lot of different things. And so if you say, well, but the rubric doesn't talk about the formatting specifically, checklist, this, that, whatever, you're probably right. It talks about maybe APA or maybe grammar, or maybe it talks about general things. But if I'm in an assignment and I can tell you, hey, here's some things to think about while you're doing your work. Here's some pro tips, here's some hints, here's some suggestions, and then I go into the rubric and kind of grade your work, take that for what it is. It's just extra content. It's extra way to help you. But don't take it as, oh, well, because it doesn't say specifically that I have to have, this, that, or whatever, that the professor giving me that somehow is not valid or fair. it's just giving you that extra level to say, hey, here's some things you need to look at to improve your work and the quality of what you're doing. So the basic line here is, because I use videos, I can give a lot more detail. I can give a lot more feedback, and I can give a lot more information and specifics and breakdown of whatever assignment I'm looking at. Look at it as someone who's willing to take time to sit one-on-one with you. How many times do you get that? When I was growing up and going through school, and this is like a band camp story, is that during my undergraduate, very rare. I mean, maybe once or twice in all of my undergraduate years, 4 years. Graduate school, maybe 2 or 3 times, maybe. Doctorate school, a little bit more, but that's because there's just a few people. It was a lot more, right? Because that's just the way doctorates work. But on this level, very rare. So if someone's willing to take time and say, hey, let's sit down and I'm going to talk to you about all the different things, they're just giving you all that extra information. See it as an added bonus. And but the main thing too is this: if you have questions or doubts or confusion, it's okay to reach out to the professor, especially in this class, to say, I need to understand this, or I need to understand that. Hey, I got this grade. Could you please explain it? Or maybe, okay, I get what you're doing here, but could you go into more detail? Or it's okay to do those things. I think oftentimes people go, well, you're giving me all this really good information, and then you're talking about the core content analysis, but I'm going to what we call quibble or talk about these things here, here, and here that are really not that important. And oftentimes I'll express these are just not graded things, or they're just not that important, but let's talk about the more important things, especially like paragraphs of 4 to 6 sentences, the Goldilocks effect. That's on my education channel. I talk about these things. I refer people to it. I post it in the class. So there's a lot of things that are questioned that are put in the announcements, that they're put on the education channel, that are put in the feedback, that are put in the live lectures, the video overviews. But if you're not watching those things, it's you're really losing out. That's all I'm gonna say. You're losing out. It would be more fair to you and every student really, and myself, is to go take that time and look at those things. Those extra few minutes can make such a difference, right? So I want this to come off and finish up on a very, very positive note. Not that we haven't been, but the positive note is this: I'm here to help you. We have a great team here at CSU. Some people call it a family. I'm real big on family. We have great librarians that do really good work, trying to support students with academics and finding sources and how to use the library. We have a really good student success center, like writing center. They do an excellent job saying, hey, here's all these things here to help you to do the best work possible. There's also things like myself. I mean, I'm here. I have my education channel, my live lectures, my video overviews. My phone number's there. It's not a secret. 502-233-4585. It's not a secret. That's why I get so many phone calls every day. And there's other resources out there, right? But the key is that we have such a great system here and such a great team and family. And there's like student advisors that want you to be successful, deans and program chairs, lead faculty. They're just all focused on giving you the best opportunities to get the most out of your education. So take that for what it is. A little bit longer video, but I want people to hear it directly from me. Let me know how I can help, and let's work together to get the best experience possible for you for your education. Thank you, and best of luck.